What is going on, everyone? This is Miles with Windows Central Gaming, and welcome to the 85th episode of Xbox Chaturdays. Today, I am stoked to be joined once again by Joseph Moran of The Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast. Joe, how are you doing on this gorgeous Saturday morning?
How much does Luke Lord pay you to say my last name wrong, huh? How dare you?
$500,000.
Oh, well worth it. I would have even just taken $50. No, man, I am so happy to be here talking to y'all. We got a lot to talk about. There's some exciting news here to get right into, but I'm doing fantastic. Ragnarok is here, so I'm just living my best life right now. That's what I'm doing. How about you?
Dude, yeah, you, obviously as a PlayStation-focused creator right now, you're eating good. You got the game of the year, God of War Ragnarok, coming out, dominating Elden Ring in the game of the year conversations, absolutely flooring everything that From Software's achieved. So you're good.
That's right.
I love hearing that.
Honestly, can I just say something real fast?
Don't.
Because if anybody who knows me, I'm an From Software stan. So just to put a little background on it, God of War for me, I'm just like, what most critics think. I think it's a masterpiece of a game, 2018. So just to know that I got a sequel of a game that I love, and then a game from who is undoubtedly my favorite developer in this industry in the same year, and they're both excellent. Like, I am eating so well, Miles. I'm satiated right now.
That's how I feel. I know there's been complaints about 2022 being a slow year for gaming, and in some ways, yeah, that's definitely true. But then I look at these standouts, like your Elden Rings that come out and the God of War Ragnaroks. And for me, just me alone, nobody else in the world, Evil Dead the game. Like, for me in particular, it's been an outstanding year for video games. And there are so many games that I've put so much time into this year. But before we get into all the amazing news for the week, for the people who maybe don't know, give us a quick breakdown of who you are and where they can find you.
Oh, yeah, fantastic. My name is Joseph, aka Mr. Badbit, and each and every Thursday, I host The Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players with my best friend Kyle, where we break down the latest and greatest in all things PlayStation and, the industry that surrounds it. So that's pretty much what we do. It's a podcast that when we say made by the players for the players, we mean it. Though we're a PlayStation show, you're not going to see us, rag on other platforms because we find those conversations completely boring. And we love to bring in people like Miles, people with outside takes to talk about PlayStation with us, because that's what makes conversations, I guess, spicy and interesting is when you bring different people on, not just people that are going to agree with you, but people that are going to add different takes, different perspectives. And that's what the Trophy Room podcast is all about. So yeah, thank you, Miles, for letting me, pitch myself, because it has been a really interesting few months for PlayStation, especially in the holidays, where we have to kind of get creative with some of our conversations because Jim Ryan is too busy with his pet cats at the moment, and he ain't talking to us much still in the holidays. But
so
yeah,
I appreciate you for those reasons, and that's why I'm excited to have you on, because again, this is an Xbox-centric show, but I think it's important to get, a diverse group of people with different backgrounds and different preferences in the mix, especially when we go on Twitter and social media and see groups fighting about, okay, well, PlayStation's year is so much better than Xbox. Xbox isn't doing anything, blah, 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 and those kind of simplistic conversations really take away from the bigger picture of it. So excited to dive into some stuff. We're going to be talking about some new games. We're going to be talking about our dream cast for the Gears of War movie. We're going to be talking about Xbox's potential roadmap for 2023, the Halo Infinite Winter update, the rumored release date for Diablo 4, and so much more. Some quick housekeeping before we get into the show today. Some of you might know this already, but I finally started my own YouTube channel. Shameless plug time for your boy. Yeah, it's been something in the works for a little while. I've had a lot of people behind the scenes encouraging me to do it, and I've had a lot of amazing supportive people online excited that I'm doing it. So yeah, you can check out what I'm working on over on youtube.com/Miles Dompier. It's just my name, nothing too fancy, but I'm excited. Got a couple videos up over there. I will
Nice.
say, if you are I have nothing to announce at the moment right now, but if you are a fan of Xbox Chaturdays, I would recommend subscribing over there. There's going to be some things
Okay.
coming up in the coming weeks that are going to be worth checking out over on that website. So I'll have the link in the description as well. But again, that's youtube.com/Miles Dompier.
Oh, damn. Oh, I'm excited for you, by the way. You get to branch out. You get to talk about more like Pokemon stuff, maybe, perhaps. Like when I saw the news, that's immediately hit that link, subscribed, all that good stuff. You guys should definitely as well, because Miles puts out some of the best content on the internet, hands down. Hands
Oh,
down.
no, it's honestly been super cool to see so many people genuinely excited. Because I'll be
Yep.
honest, like I'm not too big on myself, and so it's weird when people are excited to have me on shows or listen to my shows or check out anything I do. So when people are like, "You should start your own channel," I was like, "Yeah, sure, okay, maybe
Honestly,
I'll do it."
can I pump you up a little bit here, Miles? Chaturdays is some of my best shows. Like I always try my best to tune in because your conversations are just so thoughtful and not contrarian to be contrarian, but the perspectives are just different and refreshing. And the folks that you have on, are so varied and so talented that somehow every week, because people don't know, hosting is hard. You find a way to connect with that guest so damn well. So everybody, make sure again, subscribe to this man. Subscribe to this man.
Appreciate you, really do
Of
appreciate
course.
everyone who's shared kind words, who's dropped comments, who's subscribed, liked all of that great stuff, because it's exciting. It's really exciting, and I really appreciate everyone checking out what I'm working on.
Yeah.
With that being said, with my shameless plug out of the way, let's dive into the show. So the first big thing I want to talk about this week is the lovely folks from Remedy, of Max Payne fame, of Control fame, of Quantum Break fame. They have announced a sequel to Control. Control 2 is officially real. It's been rumored, more or less teased. If you've no spoilers, but if you've completed Control, you knew Control 2 was coming. But it's
Yeah.
official now. Control 2 has officially been revealed. It is going to be co-developed and co-published by 505 Games and Remedy Entertainment. So, Joe, are you a big Control fan? And are you
Ooh, yeah.
excited about the sequel?
Ooh, absolutely, I am.
Oh,
Control was one of my favorite games of 2019, a year that I feel is so underappreciated because we had so many great games, right? Like Death Stranding, what up?
what up?
You had
Shout out to Death
Plague Tale,
Stranding.
right? It's so weird. I love that game so much. Yeah, Plague Tale Innocence, which was phenomenal and punched so above its weight class. Then you had Control, which was my introduction fully to Remedy, because as a kid, I was not allowed to play Max Payne, but I was able to watch my brother play Max Payne. And I loved watching him play those games. So, to me, Control was the first entry into that those creators' minds. And it was so damn good. The universe that Remedy was able to make in that game, I'm just so interested to see where they're going to take, you know, that that series and the rest of their series moving forward. It really does seem like Remedy is not creating an MCU, but they're creating like a Stephen King-esque universe through Control. And I just want to see more of those weird stories from them. So I'm absolutely like over the moon on Control. It was one of my favorite games in 2019. And every now and again, I'm like, was it my game of the year? Maybe, possibly.
Maybe.
I don't know. But I did
Remedy
plan it.
has always snuck weird things into their games. They've always,
Yeah.
Max Payne in particular, mostly a straightforward kind of crime drama in a lot of ways. But even early on, you could tell they wanted to dabble in that weird space. They wanted to have
Mhm.
those abstract ideas. They are masters of physics. That's been in every single title that they've done. There has been this focus on unique physics. Bullet time, Control elevated all of that to an entirely new level. So the gameplay and the physics and the destruction in Control are just so impressive.
Yep.
And in this post, they talk about how the sequel will have a much bigger budget. It'll be a much bigger scale game. And to think that the original Control, which, like you said, a lot of people put it in the Game of the Year conversations, to think that was a smaller scale, smaller budget project by comparison, Has me excited because, like you said, they
Yeah.
are building their Shining verse. Again, if you've watched the original Shining, you know it's weird. But if you watch stuff like Doctor Sleep, it's another level of weird, and
Yeah.
getting to explore those powers and how that connects with the other characters in this world. Let's go.
And honestly, you said something very important here. You know, them having more funds with this sequel, the only problem with Control, and everybody knows this, is the frame rate stuttering in that game was phenomenal. That thing chugged at times very
Yes.
noticeably, and that's probably, to be honest, the reason why it wasn't in my game of the year, because of just when things started happening, your frames just started dropping. It also speaks to how good that game is, because though the combat wasn't as fluid as it could have been or even should have been, it still was just so fantastic. So that's the thing I'm really excited about, seeing how much money they're getting from the sequel to build, or so to build this sequel, has me really excited that they're going to, their vision is going to be matched financially. So to me, that's what I'm truly excited about, because Remedy is one of these special developers in this space.
A lot of stuff to be excited about in the Remedy camp right now. They are busy. They are
Yeah.
ridiculously busy. So in addition to Control 2, which has been confirmed, we have Alan Wake 2, which has been confirmed. We have remakes of Max Payne 1 and 2 as well. So right now,
Yep.
Remedy has at least 4 projects, and that's coming right off the back of the Crossfire X campaign. So that's why I want to have another conversation about this.
Okay.
And about developers and publishers in the space in the current climate, because we've seen this with teams like Platinum Games. They commit to a lot of projects simultaneously because you have to. Realistically, if you're independent, you need to have the constant revenue coming in to support your further projects, and it's just this cascading effect. Crossfire X campaign was not a good moment for Remedy. Nobody had any positive things to say about the Crossfire X campaign. And that was unfortunate, because going into that, a lot of people were exclusively excited for that game because the campaign was being developed by Remedy. And there was this prestige to that studio going into it. And then it came and went, and no one talked about it in a positive light, and no one wants to talk about it ever again. So I have to ask, do you have any worries about this, about the future of Remedy when you look at this slate, when you know they have at least 4 projects actively in development at the same time? Is that concerning to you?
Yes and no. So I think you're right. I think, first off, Remedy being an independent developer, they have to make sure that they have that income year round to help fund these big projects. That's why it's exciting to know that like 505 is, diving back in to Control with Remedy. It's also exciting to see how connected they are with Rockstar, and Rockstar going, hey, you gave us this IP, you can borrow it again. you know, I, as much as I wasn't a big fan of Max Payne 3, knowing it's going back to the original creators, that has me really excited. It's also really cool knowing that Rockstar trusts them more than they kind of trust themselves with this IP, and they want to do something with that IP as well. So giving it back to them links them to also 2K. So, those two things right there shows that they have revenue streams from multiple different clients so that they could work on these big projects. Whereas they build their passion project with Alan Wake 2. And so for me, I would be concerned if this was another like Smilegate situation, because I don't know Smilegate all too well, and I didn't know Crossfire X, from Adam. So to me, I know 2K has a lot of money. I know, 505 has a lot of money, and it wants to build into this bigger publisher. And so to me, that's why I'm a little less nervous, because they got different revenue sources that are cash rich, and they're building IP that they know people love and adore. So to me, I always saw Crossfire X's, I'm like, why are we excited? Or is the Xbox community excited just because this is an Xbox game, or is there something genuine here? Because to me, I always looked at it like this just looks like a generic shooter. Whereas I look at Alan Wake and I look at Max Payne and I look at Control, and these are IP that people love.
Mhm.
So that's what has me more confident. But you're right; they are doing a lot. Are you a little nervous? You feeling that?
See, I'm in a
Feeling
similar
sweat?
camp because obviously I want all of these teams to succeed, and a big part of that is having the resources and the time and the budget to be able to deliver on your ideas. Because it's one thing to have an idea, one thing to be ambitious, and then another thing entirely to be able to take the resources, secure the funding, and deliver on that ambitious idea. It's
Yeah,
a lot of work, and like you said, I think now I want to believe that Remedy maybe learned a hard lesson when it comes to Smilegate, a project they maybe were interested in, thought it would be a good chance for them. Clearly, it didn't really work out in the way that I think anyone wanted it to.
yeah,
But and as we touch on with Alan Wake, Control 2, I don't really believe that Remedy would, cash it in on those franchises because they're so
yeah.
beloved. They're so passionate about it. Listening to that team, they've been just looking for any reason possible to make Alan Wake 2. And so that one in particular, I have all the faith in the world in. And it's just one of those situations where the industry, as we look at it right now, we talk about acquisitions. That's a huge focus for a lot of people. But then I want strong independent teams. I want strong independent teams to be able to exist in this space. And then I
Yes.
see strong independent teams get in situations where they just have to do projects. They just, at the end of the day, they have to do it. Whether it's the right project, whether it's the project they really want to be doing, you have to keep people employed. You have to bring that money in. And so I'm hopeful that, like you said, these partnerships are strong and allow Remedy to continue the legacy that
Yeah.
we all know and love them for.
Yeah, and you said something really important there. Like when we always talk about the acquisition season, I want to see independent studios rise up. I want to see independent publishers rise up. I look at places like CD Projekt Red, and I'm like, I think they could fill the void that companies like Bethesda have kind of left now that they're exclusive. And I look at people like Kojima going, yeah, there's been plenty of offers, but I am not interested in the slightest because I've had a boss before and it didn't go well. I would like to think that that's the same, logic with Remedy. I would be surprised if there's never been an offer to purchase Remedy outright. But they've been steadfast going, we just want to keep making these really weird games because we believe in them. Like Alan Wake's a perfect example. That game didn't light the world on fire sales wise, or the remaster as well, but they love that that game and they
Mm-hmm.
want to build upon it. And there's a beauty to that where developers like, I don't care if this sells a trillion, I don't care how many active players, like I just want to make this thing because I adore it.
Yes.
That's what I want to see more of. That's why I want to, I hope soon we can move away from this idea that, you know, every trillion-dollar company could just go out there and purchase everyone. I want these independent folks to start taking those risks and growing.
Exactly. It is, when I look at acquisitions, the first thing that I want to know and understand is how this benefits the team and how
Yeah.
this benefits the employees and how this benefits the games that they're making. If there are net positives across the board there, I understand because I've talked about this before, but it has got to be horrifying to be in a position
Yeah.
where you're in charge of all of the financials for a studio and to know that it takes 4-ish years to make a game and to know that if that game does not hit, you do not have the money to make your next game. That
Yeah.
feeling has got to be just crushing. And I guarantee whether you want it to or not, that's going to dictate the decisions of the game you're making because there are certain metrics that you need to hit across the board to, there's all of these calculations that happen behind the scenes of, okay, if we do this, we'll have X% increase of sales, blah, all that boring stuff that
Yeah.
when you're looking at just raw game design, that really shouldn't directly impact raw game design day to day, but money's money. People have to pay bills, and that's the reality. So it's complicated. I understand that it's a huge ask, but I also want people to be empowered and to have the resources to make weird games. And that's why I love Kojima, and that's why I love Kojima Productions, because I know his stuff isn't everyone's bag, but to have him come out and say, "Yeah, we've had offers and I'm just not interested." Yeah. Hell yeah. I love hearing that, because there's no world where people like Sony or Xbox haven't talked to Kojima about securing Kojima Productions. And to have him say, "No, I'm good. I'm not interested. I'm still going to make weird ass games, and if you want to be a part of that, I will partner with you. You can give me some money to do it." And I respect that. Get that
Yeah,
bag, make the money, and then try to keep your identity, because I feel like that's a concern with these established teams, is that if they get integrated in, they'll lose what made them special in the first place.
absolutely. Absolutely. And listen, there could be times where you have an Insomniac situation where it's just like, oh yeah, like this really made a whole lot of sense. Both teams really needed it, and it absolutely makes sense. And it's exciting for everybody kind of involved. But to me, there is something I think with like Remedy or like a Kojima Productions. I love I love the energy that they bring to their products, and this fiercely independent attitude that they both seemingly at this point in time have.
Yes, and I will say, we'll talk about the Activision Blizzard King acquisition later, because this is
Oh
an
boy,
Xbox podcast. I'm legally
that's right.
obligated to talk about it. But
How
what,
tired are you about talking about it? Real talk.
real talk, a lot,
Yeah.
a lot of bit, a lot of bit. But that being
Say,
said, when the Bethesda acquisition was announced, and when they had that round table discussing like what it meant for their games and what it meant for the teams, that to me was the most authentic acquisition that I've ever seen. Like the energy,
absolutely.
the enthusiasm of those people, just seeing these lifelong friends get in a room together and be excited about the future and what this all means for their games. Because the reality was, Bethesda, as much as they were making great games, they were kind of struggling financially. And they were going to be they were in a situation where they had to publish different projects. They had to diversify, put out as many things as possible. And not all of them were hitting on the same level. And so to have a figure like Microsoft come in, who has backing out the wazoo, if you will, and say, "All right, guys, we want you to make great games, and we want to give you the resources to make great games," like that.
And then we're just gonna leave you alone. Like
Yeah,
real talk. Look at Skyrim's on like what is it? The new PlayStation Plus catalog this month.
yeah,
Microsoft owned product, like they're letting them within boundaries be themselves, and you gotta love it. Same with like Insomniac, like they were in a rough spot. Spider-Man was fantastic and sold amazingly, and Sony was just like, okay, how much money is it gonna take?
yeah.
And
And they got him
Insomniac's
for
like,
a bargain.
not that much.
And actually,
All
yeah,
things considered.
we're not asking all that much. And so
Yeah,
Sony's now just looking at that and going, "Yeah, baby. How do we get more of those?
yeah.
Those budget acquisitions that pay dividends like you wouldn't believe."
And
Insomniac did.
those excite me. Like seeing like Housemark, that feels like coming home. So like there are times where like these acquisitions, yeah, they're super exciting, but I also think we gotta live in this thought where while acquisitions are fun, there's this cool independent space that is growing, that's equally exciting because they're on a different path.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
oh, it's
And
sexy.
that's
I like
okay.
it.
And I want that to exist. I don't need everyone to be bought by everyone. Um, as much as we have those conversations, because again, we'll talk about it later, but the Activision Blizzard King acquisition does not feel as authentic. It does not feel as organic. It does not feel as exciting. It feels like a big dramatic thing that happened just because of a lot of controversy surrounding the company that tanked their
Mhm.
stock prices and put them in a position of being more acquirable. And on the other side of all that, I genuinely hope it means a better culture for everyone there, because we all know
Absolutely.
the culture is not up to par. It's not in line with Microsoft at all. So they're going to have a lot of work to adjust that entire structure and get things to a place where it's not just constant negative headlines and negative PR about the culture being horrifying. So that acquisition to me, for those reasons, so far has not. It's not Bethesda. It's just cool. I get stuff in Xbox Game Pass, which, as someone who plays on Xbox a lot, let's go. I want all the games in Game Pass, because it's no one wants to spend money. All right, whether you use the support the devs rhetoric or not. Nobody wants to pay $70 for every single game.
And real talk, I'm like the same mentality. If tomorrow PlayStation came out, they're like, hey, listen, guys, we're all kidding around about the old game stuff. We're gonna put God of War Ragnarok day one. All of our stuff's gonna be day one. I'd sign up in a heartbeat.
Yeah, same.
But like,
yes,
the reality of the situation though is, I know myself, I know me, and I know PlayStation, and so they know me so well that they're like, we could charge you $70 for Ragnarok, and you're gonna buy it day one. And I'm like, actually, no, I'll spend $400 because I'll buy that collector's edition twice, and I'll give one away for charity where we raise over $9,000 for it. So bam, bam, bam. So like, that's how they know how much they have me. And when that day comes where that changes, where their IP don't hit as well, and then they do that subscription service because it's inevitable, yeah, then that's going to be exciting as well. Everything ebbs and flows. Everything ebbs and flows. So
that's why you don't hear, or you shouldn't hear, any executives from any company make sweeping statements like, we'll never do this, because that's not the reality of the business.
Yeah, it changes. Everything changes. I never take an executive's words, not to say seriously, but like, I take them at face value, or don't take them at face value. Just go, things change. This statement is going to look silly, or may look silly, 4 or 5 years out from now. Like, Jim Ryan's whole thing of like, we believe in generations. 2 years, I could play a lot of these must-have PS5 games on my PS4. So obviously, the generation talk was a bunch of bullshit.
It was a bunch of marketing, to
Malarkey.
Get you excited about the PS5.
Exactly. But that's the that's the truth of the situation. You see Microsoft one week going, oh no, like, look at how PlayStation's dominance, they're able to raise their prices of their consoles, and then a few weeks later, Phil Spencer's like, yeah, we may have to do the same eventually, but not right now. It's like, these folks change their minds to fit and help their shareholders. It's not to benefit us, it's for the benefit of their shareholders. That's their obligation.
Yeah,
so
as much as
I always get in that pedestal because I don't trust any of them.
I don't trust the system, man. So
That's
again,
right.
I think it's important to hold companies accountable, because one of my least favorite comments in the world is, it's just business. It's just, because that phrase, it's just business, gets used to justify some of the most horrific, disgusting practices.
Yes.
And we just have to accept it because that's real. No, you can hold these companies accountable. We should.
Absolutely.
But their end goal as a business in the capitalist system of the United States of America and the global economy, because whether you are, agree to it or not, we're all part of the capitalist machine at this point. They want to make money. They want to make money off of you, and they want to get you excited about spending money. And if you can, I don't want to say manipulate, because that's, implies that we don't have the power to make our own decisions. But if they can convince you that you're spending money because you want to, then that's the best place to be.
Yeah. And I think as well, like, you've seen plenty of pushback on both sides where, like, one company will try to do something, like Microsoft will try to raise the price of games of gold, and then fans, I'll even agree, a ludicrous degree. And then you see, Xbox fans, which do such a great job of going, nope, don't like this whatsoever. And you see Xbox then go, okay, all right, ooh, whoa, we overstepped. Yep. Same with, the upgrade path with PlayStation, with Horizon Forbidden West, PlayStation kind of dancing between this line of these upgrade fees because Jim Ryan really likes that $10, but going, okay, free right here, but here's the line in the sand that we're drawing. And they'll go as far as you let them or won't let them. So,
yeah. So again, that's our TED Talk. Thank you for coming to our TED Talk here. Quick shout out to the amazing people joining us live. If you are watching or new to the show or listening on audio services, we are live every Saturday on youtube.com/Windows Central Gaming at 1 p.m. If you are digging the show, watching it on YouTube, hit that like button, share it out, all of that good stuff. I'm gonna get to some super chats here. First up, Brad Ward says, "Where's the face paint and Fue Coco better?" First off, what face paint should I be wearing? Is it God of War? Is that the?
It's
okay?
Me.
Yeah, where's
okay? we did an extra live stream for the Stroley Children's Hospital in, I believe, Edmonton, Canada, for our good friend of the show, Marcus O'Neill's son, Miles. This is an awesome children's hospital. His son Miles has gone through numerous skull surgeries, and he's only like 2. Kid's is a rock star. I said if we hit $5,000, then on the next episode of the Trophy Room, I would don the Kratos face paint with the baby powder on my face. And I did. I should have made it higher because, again, we hit $9,000 last week. 9,000. That's a whole lot of wampum.
That's a lot of generous people in the community stepping up and helping out. And
let me tell you, I had a lot of baby powder in my lungs. Trying to run a podcast while you're looking a fool out of just, there was no face paint around, so I had to do lipstick,
Okay.
There was no the powder was legit baby powder. I'm like, this was probably a mistake. But you do it for the kids.
Exactly. You do it for the kids, and that's what matters. It's not about looking cool.
That's
because
right.
None of us are cool at the end of the day. We're all big dorks talking about video games.
That's right.
Sergeant Rake says, "Morning, dudes. I wanted to ask if either of you purchased Series X's and PS5s to play new games at 30 FPS. Ooh, 30 FPS, Gotham Knights. I hear it's unplayable trash."
That's right. Like I said on the Trophy Room, I'll say here, the only times where I actually can tell is when the frame rate dips or when they give me the option for 60. If you would not tell me this is not 60 FPS, I genuinely couldn't tell you unless you give me the option. Then I'm like, oh yeah, I could tell you. Yeah, this is playing not as smooth. But as someone who was a WoW player on a MacBook, let me tell you, frame rate drops. I'm numb to them.
As someone who grew up playing on the blessed PlayStation 1, where frame consistency didn't exist. It wasn't a feature that you advertised in a game because it wasn't a reality that you could ever achieve.
Right.
It takes me time to adjust. If I go from playing a 60 FPS game or a 120 FPS game down to a 30, there's like a few minutes where I'm like, oh my God, this is a little jarring. This is a little rough.
Yep.
After about 5 minutes, my eyes adjust and everything's okay. I can play the game. I can enjoy the game. Obviously, I want everything at 60 FPS. That's if I prefer 60 FPS 100% of the time. The game I'm most stoked about right now is Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I'm mentally prepared to play that at like 24 FPS because I know what the Switch is capable of. I know this is going to be the first open world Pokemon game. So,
oh wowie,
that system's getting pushed to the limit, and it already, even non-open world wasn't the most performant series in the world. So, yeah, I want 60 FPS. If I could play that game at 60 FPS, I would. I don't care what it cost me. Like I said, as soon as the Switch Pro is announced or the Switch 2 is announced and that says, oh, you can play Pokemon at 60 FPS, here's $500. I don't care. To me, it's worth it. But I also understand that some games don't have that, and it's not going to stop me from playing it if it's not 60. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
But again, it is unfortunate that Gotham Knights doesn't have 60, and I do believe that Gotham Knights will probably get a performance mode down the road. But, for what it is right now, sorry, you paid $500 for your console and then $70 for Gotham Knights, and you can play it in 30 FPS or play something else. Play Vampire Survivors.
Right.
You can play that for free on Xbox Game Pass or for $3.99.
And real talk, like we talk about frames all the time, but like Vampire Survivors has stood the test of time. Like this is a game that when you look at it, you're like, oh, that's the game that's taken, gaming Twitter by storm. But then you play it and you're like, oh, wow, no, this game is stellar.
Yeah, quick side tangent on Vampire Survivors. If you haven't played it, it's been on PC for a little while. It was on PC Game Pass, just came to console Xbox Game Pass this week. I was in the same boat. I love Castlevania. I've been just begging Konami to give me any Castlevania game for years now. They haven't done it. This team stepped up and said, oh, you like Castlevania? Boom, here you go. This game completely rips off Castlevania's power-ups, characters, music, environments, enemies. So much of it is pulled straight from Castlevania, but it's done so well. I remember looking at gameplay for it, and when you're watching gameplay, it's hard to tell what's going on. It's just a chaotic bullet hell. But the hook, dude. I remember starting this up. I was winding down for bed. I was like, it's 11. I need to be in bed by midnight. All right, I'll play a couple rounds. I was up well past 1 a.m. because I just couldn't put it down. Every time I finished a run, I was back in, ready to go. It's a roguelite. If you've played Rogue Legacy, things like that, they constantly give you new upgrades. They constantly drip feed you the dopamine hit. There's explosions and flashes of light and color. It's simple. It's incredibly simple, but it's also really deep, and there's a lot of progression to it. So if you haven't played Vampire Survivors, check it out. And just be warned that if you do play it at all, there's like a 95% chance you're going to be just immediately just absorbed by the experience.
I have it on my Steam Deck. I am going to play it probably tomorrow.
Oh, it's such a good Steam Deck game. That's where I first played it. Such a good Steam Deck game. And maybe Xbox will give me that handheld. You can play it via the cloud, so you can, play cloud gaming. But I want the native experience.
Absolutely.
All right, next up, we got to talk about Battlefield 2042. So, a big announcement this week was that Battlefield 2042 finally is coming to EA Play, and that means it is finally coming to Xbox Game Pass. So if you are subscribed to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate starting on November 22nd, which is the kickoff of Season 3 of Battlefield 2042, you can play the game. You can play Battlefield 2042. Battlefield 2042, as a lot of us know, didn't really launch in the greatest state. A lot of people were not stoked about the launch experience of Battlefield 2042, and it's a rare case where they've had to cut modes and features post-launch. Instead of adding new content, they've actually regressed in some ways, cutting the big 128-player multiplayer mode, which was one of the biggest selling points of the game. So it's been a rocky launch, to say the least. So DICE and EA, they remain committed to improving the game. They remain committed to course correcting here, despite some reports from folks like Jeff Grubb who have said that they're kind of winding that team down and preparing for what's next. They're trying to, fix Battlefield 2042, if you will. So Season 3 is bringing reworked maps. It's bringing operators back. It's bringing new weapons and a bunch of other features. Did you play Battlefield 2042 at launch?
Miles, I want to tell you something that I don't tell a lot of people. Battlefield is one of my favorite franchises ever.
Oh.
I love Battlefield. I bought Battlefield 3 on literally every platform it came out on. I played it on Xbox. I played it on PS3. I played it on PC. I have put hundreds of hours into that game on all of them. I love that game so much. And every Battlefield since Bad Company 2 has always been a day one for me. I played the beta of Battlefield 2042. I could not tell you how ecstatic I was walking into that beta. And I played a good couple of hours, and I have not touched it again. It hurt my soul, from the operators to the maps to the bugginess. It just, this is a story of doing too much, and really what was there, was it quality enough to what we know a Battlefield game to be? And this came as well during, the shutdowns. So this game definitely needed way more time in the oven, but was just shipped out with so much and sadly did so little with it. So I'm hurt, Miles.
That makes me sad because I will say I'm not the biggest Battlefield fan, but I do have fond memories of a lot of the early days of Battlefield on PC, and Battlefield 4 in particular, and Battlefield Bad Company 2 played the hell out of those games. Hundreds of
Snipers
hours.
were so broken in that game.
Oh yeah, you couldn't walk 5 feet in that game.
Yeah,
it was
beautiful.
So bad. It was miserable but amazing. Like, it was one of those games I was infuriated and just having a blast every time I played that game. So
much fun.
I initially, when they announced Battlefield 2042, I was like, okay, cool, a new Battlefield makes sense. It is a calendar year after all. Let's get a new Battlefield out. And then the first gameplay trailer hit, and I was like, oh my God, this looks so fun. They're embracing the chaos. You have a big giant tornado. You have ice storms. You have the classic shots of people jumping ATVs into helicopters and blowing up. I was sold. The marketing for
Same.
that was exceptional. They got me so amped up to play Battlefield 2042, baby. And then I played the beta. And I was like, this doesn't feel like what the trailer made it seem like it was going to be. These maps are pretty flat. They're pretty
Yep.
open. And speaking of sniper hell, because of that, it was absolutely miserable getting around because you were just
Yeah.
a target, a sitting duck every time you spawned in. And I would spawn in and
And
die.
the audio was awful. You know, you would hear footsteps like they were right next to you, and they were like you'd be on the roof of a building, you hear footsteps that are like at the entrance, you know, basement floor type of stuff. There was just so much mess in that beta
It
that
was
just had me turned off.
Yeah, so it was a bummer. I said to myself, okay, the beta was rough. Hopefully they've taken some time to course correct. So with Xbox Game Pass and EA Play, you get the trial. So when the game launched, I think it was a 10-hour trial you could play. And so I tried playing the first week.
Mm,
And again, like a lot of online multiplayer games, the launch in terms of matchmaking was rough. And I think in 3 days I played 2 matches. And then after that, I was like, okay, well, I think that's about enough Battlefield 2042 for me. And like you, haven't played it since. Haven't played it since the first week of launch, basically.
yeah.
So when we look at what they're changing, when we look at, you're a huge Battlefield fan. I'm sure you want Battlefield 2042 to be good. Are you going to be diving back in when it has this kind of relaunch into Xbox Game Pass with Season 3? And
Here's the heartbreaking thing, right? Because I hear so many people go, dude, it's so much better now. Like
I've heard that a
it's
lot.
in such good shape, in a way better place than it once was. And that's really great and all. But Call of Duty this year has taken all my time and energy. You know, that is my new multiplayer thing right now. So like while Battlefield 2042 coming to Game Pass, that's great. But like, what is it? Next week we're getting Warzone 2.0, DMZ, like a raid. There is just so much happening in Call of Duty land. Not to mention that it is the type of gameplay from that franchise that I love so much. Um, there is absolutely no way that I'm getting to Battlefield. And that's the thing that sucks because I want to cheer this team on. I want to believe in them. I want this game to do well, but right now my time is between Ragnarok and you know, and Call of Duty, really.
And that's what's hard about these conversations when it comes to ongoing games and the comeback stories and selling people on it, because no matter how great of a state the game is in, we all have finite time. And if there's
Yeah.
something else that comes along and sucks us in, like Call of Duty this year, I haven't played it, but everyone I'm talking to says it's amazing. Everyone is having a blast. Like I did $1 billion. Everyone's playing Call of Duty right now. So Battlefield's going to have to work to pull the people who are happy with the current state of Call of Duty in the honeymoon phase, and then they're immediately dropping Warzone 2, which is going to be a massive deal as well. And that
Yeah.
timing is rough if you're trying to, get your second chance with the community. And so,
And I really think that's why this was here. Because they're like, listen, we got a Halo update, we got Call of Duty update, you know, we got Overwatch 2. Like there's so much in the shooter space right
oh
now
God,
that
Overwatch 2, yeah, that just hit.
yeah, like what is it, like 30 plus million you know, registered users or whatever. And like so they're just like there is so much in terms of shooters that this this game's already on live support. We need to make sure that as many people can play it right now as possible, the better.
Yeah, so I'm telling myself I'm gonna play it. I'm telling myself
Okay.
I'm gonna give it another shake and check it out just to see, because coming to Game Pass, so there's not a barrier in terms of cost.
Yeah.
So I'm hopefully gonna try it. Will I actually try it? I don't know. Pokemon comes out next week, so probably not. No, it's probably dead to me. But I want to see what they've been working on. I want to see that game in a better state because I want it eventually to live up to what that trailer was.
Yeah.
That wholly unique Battlefield experience. The reason that Battlefield is so popular is because it does things that no other shooter can do in the space. And I want it to be that.
Yeah.
We got to talk about another game that's getting an update around the same time,
Oh.
and that is Halo Infinite, baby. Halo Infinite's winter update dropped this week. So this brings a lot of highly requested features. Campaign co-op, the Forge beta, some new maps, a new mode, a mini kind of sort of battle pass. It's a free one. Not a full seasonal rollout, but there is some progression. You can get some new cosmetic items. And we're starting to see the conversation shift online, and a lot of that is coming from Forge. And so there is this kind of resurgence, this new injection of energy surrounding Halo Infinite right now. So obviously we just talked about this, but with everything else going on right now, every other game, Call of Duty's around, Overwatch is around. A lot of big games are dropping right. You're playing God of War Ragnarok. There's a lot. Have you checked out the Halo Infinite update so far?
All right, so now let's talk about my experience with Halo. Halo is one of the reasons why I'm a gamer today. I hold a lot of love for Halo. You don't hear a lot of PlayStation folks talk about it, but yes, I love Halo with all my soul. I've played every single one of them. And multiplayer, that one varies as well. But, you know, Halo Infinite's multiplayer is phenomenal. And
Yes.
I would argue is the best Halo we have gotten in terms of just raw gameplay, multiplayer wise. It's a problem that when I talk to, my good buddy Ains, who's a diehard Halo fan, I think the truest problem for Halo is not the gameplay, because it's kind of like the opposite problem of Battlefield. The gameplay is just so sound, it's so damn good. I have over a month in-game time in that, whatever that attributes to hundreds of hours, I assume, in it. But the problem is the progression. The problem is the lack of content that so many people see. The fact that we are a year in and I think we've gotten how many maps? Like 3 or 4 new maps. That's a bit of a problem if you're Halo, where again, you're just seeing the content drop from other competitors in that space during the holiday season. It's going to be really hard for you to get people's butts back in seats playing Halo Infinite. So, I'm not the type of guy that's going to upload the Steam. You look at it's like number 60 somewhere. Like I'm not that person. I want to root for this game
Look at the concurrent
because it is.
players.
What are they? I want to know. So I could post it on Twitter for clout. Like for me, it's you know, I want to see this game do great. I Forge mode being in it now has me really excited, not to create anything because I'm a big dummy. I can't do it. But to play what I've seen from people's like leaks, like
Yeah.
they're like, we put Half-Life 2 in here. I'm like, what? Like,
Okay,
yeah,
now you got me interested.
exactly. It's like we put Doom in here. Wow. Because it runs on everything. Like that has me really excited. And I think this is another update similar to Battlefield, where it's just like, hey, let's remind people Halo exists and it's a great game. And let's make sure that there's progression so that people stick around for this update. And I think the true testament for Halo's impact will be the next one in the spring. And I think it's a smart move that they went with. Spring is essentially the relaunch. It's now feature complete. And there will not be as fierce competition there. So all eyes on Halo again. I see this update again, very similar to Battlefield, which is like, we need something to keep fans interested and fans or people doing different things in Halo. And this is how they're going to do it. So I I am actually going to try out Halo Infinite again. It's been I think the last time I played it was like September. So for me, I'm a big Halo nut. I'm gonna definitely be giving this game, not to say another shot, but I'm gonna be picking it up, dusting it off, uh, and playing it hopefully soon.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. We've talked about this before on this exact show, but Halo Infinite or Halo is one of my favorite franchises in gaming. Halo Combat Evolved, some of my all-time favorite memories of any video game ever have been Halo related. So I love Halo. I absolutely adore Halo. A lot of us felt the exact same way at launch. That the core gameplay, I think, is the best that Halo has ever felt. I think Halo Infinite is the best playing Halo we've ever gotten.
I'm gonna
And
be even crazier and say that the sidekick is the best pistol.
yeah, I'm with
Like
you. Sidekick kicks ass. All right, the
it
sidekick
kicks out. It feels so good.
feels so
You
good. I
know?
will go one step further. I think Halo Infinite is one of the best feeling shooters that exists
Yes.
ever.
Yes.
I don't.
I'll go one step ahead. One step ahead.
No,
Best sounding shooter, just hands down.
hands. Halo
Those
Infinite is the best. The sound design of Halo Infinite is the
oh,
absolute best. Oh,
dude,
every single
when
gun just sounds meaty.
yeah, when the commando shoots, it feels like you're just shooting uppercuts at people. Like it just everything you're throwing punches when you're firing. Like that Halo sounds so good. And I cheer like I really do cheer on 343 when people are like, "Oh, you should give this game to id because you know they make shooting." I'm like, Settle down, just go back to sleep." 343, yes, does it have its problems? Absolutely, but you do see them fix those things and people leaving and people coming in to help this company out. And listen, should those things have been happening, you know, way sooner, maybe years earlier? Absolutely, but you're seeing them be proactive. We give a lot of crap to 343, but what did we just say? They've made probably the best feeling Halo ever. And how you feel about Infinite Story, though I'm going to be honest, it wasn't impactful to me. I'm the minority there. People really love it. So, like, as much crap as we give 343, they've made a fantastic Halo. No buts about it. So I get it. It's fun that they could be a punching bag at times for y'all, and I understand the frustration. Just understand that there's people working there for your enjoyment.
Yeah,
Your
I
enjoyment.
gave the Halo Infinite multiplayer a 9 at launch. And I stand by that wholeheartedly. I don't regret that at all. I see a lot of people trying to dig up reviewers' past reviews of Halo Infinite to say
Yeah,
that, oh my,
don't have that type of loser energy as well.
it's
Taking up reviewers, past reviews. Don't do
yeah,
that.
it's the game is great. And again, I'm
It's
of the
great.
same. I clearly 343 has demonstrated that they know how to make games, which the conversations online seem to suggest that they have no idea how to make video games. I will say that they clearly were not ready for the ongoing live component of Halo Infinite. That has been
Yeah.
tangibly proven. They were not ready for it at all. And the reality is the game should have been delayed probably another year because people were very unhappy. And it went from this super strong, polished, tight launch to just a year of negative community interaction. And that's a bummer. Like,
Yeah.
people, accuse me of dooming. I don't like to sit here and talk negative on Halo. Like, we just talked about how much we love Halo. And there
Yeah.
was so much goodwill and positive energy at the launch of Halo Infinite. And I wish we were still riding that. I wish that happened, and then every couple weeks, every month, there was a little splash of content, a new map, something to keep people excited. We didn't get that, and that's unfortunate. I haven't boycotted Halo. I haven't really been playing consistently. I'm
Right.
looking for some reasons to go back. I'm going to be diving in, checking out the campaign co-op, and I'm hoping that this marks a turning point. So, like you said, going into next year, going into that spring update, we're back on track. We're back on the Halo hype train. Everyone is just having fun with Halo, and that's what the conversations are about. Is what's
Absolutely.
next? I'm excited for what's next, as opposed to, yo, 343 needs to be shut down, which has kind of
Mhm.
been the conversation online.
Which is it's nuts because it's so easy to be the you know the couch quarterback type of thing, right? Well, like a lot of the people that are so overly negative or try to do the irrational speculations have no idea what it takes to make a game. I have no idea what it takes to make a game. That is why I'm so apprehensive when I say things that are that critical because I have no idea the wizardry of what it makes to make a game. That's why though I could be critical on something if I don't like it, I'm not saying like, someone should be fired because I'm like
Yeah,
that would
that's
be a little
that's where
nuts.
I'm at. It's a little harsh. I think it is fair
Yeah.
to be disappointed. I've talked about that. I think in a lot of ways the ongoing support and even base launch of Halo Infinite in terms of missing features like campaign co-op. I've talked about that. Like, co-op for Halo is
Mm.
that's been the way I've played every single Halo. And so to not
Same.
have that at launch for me, that was hugely disappointing. That was a huge bummer for me. But
Yeah.
That being said, I still ended up really enjoying what was there of the campaign. And same, I think it is fair to criticize. I think it is fair to ask a ton of questions. And I think it's totally fair to ask hard questions, really hard
Yeah.
questions about things. But yeah, for calling for resignations and things like that, it's a little unfortunate. It's just a bummer
Yeah.
because, like you said, there are people behind the scenes doing everything in their power to make the best game for people. And more than anything, they just want people to play these games and have fun.
Yeah, you could be critical. You can ask the tough questions. And that's fine. But there's a line that I feel like not a lot of people understand of being critical while being respectful. That's the thing that I think people genuinely miss. Because when people like outwardly keep on blaming, like Bonnie Ross needs to be fired. Why? It's like, why do you think that? Could it not be that she's being strung up by someone else? You know, she may be the head of 343.
See, that's why people are going to the top.
Orders.
Phil.
Exactly.
Phil needs to be fired, right? That's how it
exactly.
goes.
Let's go out. But like, just to hold, folks accountable. Sure. Is there blame to be gone? Like to be had? Sure. Can it, but is it also a shared blame? Absolutely. It doesn't lie solely on one person. I always go back to the Star Wars thing where people kept on blaming Kathleen Kennedy while Bob Iger literally came out after he was retired going, no, all that was my mistake. Like all of that was my mistake. I rushed them. I did not give them the time they needed to tell good stories. I just wanted a trilogy out as fast as I can. And like, are there mistakes that Kathleen's made? Sure. But when you see that picture out in front of you, things become a little bit more clearer. So yeah, again, I know we went on a bit of a tangent, but Halo is at the end of the day in a good place for them to make that resurgence. And they don't have to be Fortnite. They don't have to be as big as Fortnite. They just need to provide for the players, for their fans, and for Xbox players and that ecosystem. Not everything has to be number one for it to be enjoyable.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely fair. And I think, like you said, they're poised to do that. They're poised to do that. And more than anything, players really want it. And will they deliver? Again, we don't know. We don't know what season 3 is going to be. We don't know if that really will be the kickoff. But given the fact that they have this interim update and they're adjusting things behind the scenes, I want to believe that will be the new chapter, if you will, for Halo Infinite. And yeah, hopefully going into next year, Xbox podcasts can talk about anything else, anything other than Halo not being good, right?
Anything else, please.
Please, I beg of you. Anyway, huge shout out to the amazing people joining us live. If you are digging the show, hit the like button, share it out. If you are listening on your favorite podcast service, take a second, leave us a review, all that good stuff. Let's talk about Diablo 4 because this week the rumor mill's been churning up some deets, and it all started with our boy Special Nick over on Xbox Era, who said that he heard that Diablo 4 could be dropping in April with a reveal at the Game Awards in December. The pre-orders starting in December, the launch of the game April 2023. This has since been corroborated by sources close to Windows Central's very own Jez Corden. He has come out and written a report that says, yes, people are saying similar things about the launch window for Diablo 4. This timing isn't surprising. This is in line with, I think, what a lot of us assumed in terms of the release timing, Q1-ish for Diablo. What do you think? You think we're getting Diablo 4 in April? Think this is legit?
Whatever it is, please don't make it February, right?
That's where I'm at. February and March, anyone who announces a new game or a release date in February of March at this point, I'm not buying your game out of principle. All right? Stop it.
Honest to God, guys, even like for all the games that are still in February, it's okay to make it April. It's okay to make it May, June, July's pretty free. August is now, a month that's happening. You don't have to put it all in February. I don't know who told you that, but you don't have to. No. Another thing, I love a good Diablo. Diablo 3 is fantastic. And what I've seen in Diablo 4, oh my gosh, who is the one's creative on Gears? Oh my goodness.
Homie Rod Ferguson.
Rod Ferguson. Seeing him in the commander's chair for that franchise has me so excited, because if there is a man that can you know see what a vision of a franchise should be and have it come to fruition. I love Gears of War 4. I love Gears of War 5. I'm a big Gears guy. Rod Ferguson really showed me that he has that respect and knowledge for the IP. He knows the secret sauce. So to have Diablo come out looking less uniform, and I think that was really one of the problems with Blizzard as of late, was a lot of things just kind of, oh, that looks Blizzard, right? Having this be more gruesome, bloodier, gorier. It's looking like what we would envision a sequel of Diablo 2 being. That has me thrilled. Having an announcement at Game Awards makes a ton of sense, because Xbox is kind of known to, throw out those type of things, or big developers, rather, publishers, are known to just drop a little something in there. So having a moment where all eyes are on you, yes, absolutely. I would love to be playing this in April. I think it also makes sense because I believe Diablo 3 launched in that time frame of the spring months. I believe is anywhere between like March and May. So yeah, this has me excited, and hopefully doesn't launch in a crowded space. But
that's where I'm at. Don't step toe to toe with Resident Evil 4. I mean, at this point, nothing's gonna pull me from Resident Evil 4. And like you said, all of these publishers have come together and said, all right, February and March, that's when every game comes out. And November, October and November, that's when every other game comes out. And then nothing comes out in between. That's just the gauntlet that we're forced to endure. And stop it. I know you have your fiscal quarter closes. I get it, blah, blah, blah. But stop. Just spread it out a little bit for all of our sakes, for the sake of our time, our money, and hopefully position your game to do a little better. I mean, it's Diablo. Diablo is a juggernaut, so they can really drop Diablo whenever the hell they want, and it's going to do just fine. But that being said, April is exciting to me just because I know the start of the year is so absolutely packed. But I'm right there with you. Diablo 4 is looking really, really good. Really good.
Where are you playing it? Where are you going to be playing it?
I'm playing it on Xbox. I hope it has crossplay. I don't. Correct me if I'm wrong. They haven't confirmed that it has crossplay, correct?
I don't think so, but I would hope.
I would
also assume.
I would also at this point in time, I would kind of assume it has crossplay, and if that does, that game's gonna be so big. I bought Diablo 3 times. Yeah, 3 times. I bought it on PC. I bought it on Xbox 360, and I bought it on Xbox One. Big Diablo guy. Diablo 2 in my top 3 games, I think, of all time. Diablo 2, adore. Absolutely love it. Love that they're going back to that gritty, bloody art style. What we've seen from gameplay and the scale of the world, the fact that this is going to be more of an open world, almost MMO with raid encounters. There's world bosses floating around. There's this ongoing system to it. I want a reason to play Diablo, and I think Diablo 3's biggest critique at launch was the auction house for one, and then the end game. And it seems like they have the end game in mind for the launch of Diablo 4. So let's go. One thing I will say about this date in particular is that Mike Ibarra, who's the head of Blizzard now, after Jez put out this article, he put out a little tweet that just said, "Don't believe everything you read." And I don't know if that was just a straight dig at the idea that this was coming in April or what. But obviously this is just a rumor and nothing is confirmed so far. But that timing seems about right.
Yeah. For me, I'm going to be playing this, and Jim Ryan's going to put me in PlayStation jail. Probably on PC. Okay. Just depends on the trophy list. If it's doable. I know Diablo 3, there was way too much time to sink in for a plat, so I didn't do that. Also played it mostly on PC as well. Then seeing Diablo 2 Resurrected. It's like the trophy list is like, don't even try it. So I have that mentality for Diablo 4. So I'm probably going to be picking this up on PC. Game Pass or whatever.
Oh, yeah, boy. Yeah, I'm excited.
Oh, and it is confirmed. Someone just put it in the chat. Diablo 4 does have crossplay.
Nick,
God
shout
bless.
out to Nick W. Says, yes, Diablo 4 does have crossplay. Let's go. Crossplay and cross progression. That's what I want to see. Make that standard. All right. If
Yeah.
Evil Dead the game can do it, you can do it. That's where I'm
Absolutely.
at. Activision, you don't get a pass.
Ooh, and cross progression. All right.
Let's go.
You know.
See, I love
Yeah.
that. Let me play Diablo anywhere. Let me play it on my
Yeah.
Steam Deck. Let me play it on my Xbox. Let me play it on my PC. And don't make me regrind, because that's not a game I want to regrind.
No.
That's
That's actually really awesome. The cross progression, that's sick. That's sick.
That's
That
sick.
probably also helps them sell a couple more copies, you think, as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
You get people to convince people to double dip.
Because honestly, you're making me like I'm like, shit, I'm gonna play this on my Steam
I'm
Deck.
buying that on PS5 and PC, huh?
Oh yeah. I'm like, ooh,
shoot.
good possibility.
All right, let's have a little fun. Let's have a little fun, because one of the big conversations this week was Netflix has come out and revealed that finally, after all of this time, after all of these conversations, a Gears of War live action film, it's happening, dude. It's something that I feel like people have been talking about for well over a decade. Since the first Gears dropped, people are like, all right, yo, where's the movie? And we haven't gotten one. There's been rumors and speculation about, somebody pitching ideas for it, who's going to be cast for it. But now Netflix has confirmed that a Gears of War live action movie is coming. And shortly after the live action movie will be an adult animated series set in the universe. So this, I guess before we get into the fun part, how are you feeling about a Gears movie?
I don't know what to feel. Guys, here's another thing, okay? I get it. I was a PlayStation show. I should be more critical of these things. I love Gears of War. It is one of my all-time favorite franchises. Halo, I'm sorry, Gears is my high school like memories. All of my friends would just be addicted to Gears 1. I remember us all playing that and how amazing we were at sniping in that game. I wish I had that ability again. Gears of War 2, Horde mode, chef's kiss. Gears of War 3, you get that sawed off out of there. If you used it, you're a piece of garbage.
Boo, doo-doo, Nashers only.
Exactly, Nashers only. Crab walk and all the bit. So Gears of War has a lot of sentimental value to me, and hearing it be a movie or becoming the quite possibility of them having their own movie and whatnot with Netflix has me excited, but also nervous because they're the fan casting. I have more like what I don't want to see than what I want to see out of this film.
Yes. Gears also for me one of my favorite franchises. I go back and I would say that probably I like Gears of War more than Halo. I would say generally I think Gears of War, if I'm picking one competitive shooter, that I would consider myself a competitive player in, it's Gears of War. I've put the most time in Gears. Love Gears. Love the close quarter combat. Love the rush down mechanics. Love the strategy of the cover system.
Miles, real talk, humble brag. I was an MLG pro.
Did you?
Well, not like pro, but like I was in the MLG brackets.
Oh,
and that was really the only game I've ever was like, we're going MLG. We'll maybe even go to a convention about it. Like that's as far as we went.
See, so, I love it.
Gears is
it's a thing. It's a thing that is worth celebrating. I've been hoping it gets more attention because it's always been, I think, criminally underrated. In the grand scheme of things, people look at the biceps and go, that's stupid. That's a stupid bro game, but that's not what Gears is about. There's a ton of great lore. There's a ton of heart in Gears. And so I want to see that translated to a film. We also know that Netflix hasn't been the most consistent with their video game adaptations.
That's the thing that has me very concerned. Netflix in general.
Some have been awful. Yeah. So a mixed bag. So what I want to do with you and the people tuning in, people watching after the fact, listening after the fact, let's cast it. Let's cast this. You talked about the fan casting for the Gears of War movie. We've seen the fans online talking about Dave Bautista as Marcus Phoenix. We've seen Dave Bautista in Gears 5 as Marcus Phoenix. We've seen Dave Bautista in Gears 5 as Dave Bautista. Dave Bautista's got a lot of association to this. He's also come out online and said, yo, let's go, cast me in this as Marcus Phoenix.
Yeah.
So what I want to know, who is your cast for the main four? Marcus Phoenix, Dom, Cole, and Baird. What are your 4 picks for those cast members in this?
Okay. So we were talking a little bit before the show. I was like, I have no idea who's going to play Marcus, but Dave Bautista's not it. Not it. Never going to be it.
You're going to make people mad. People are going to be mad.
I don't care. Listen, Dave Bautista's a good actor. He genuinely is. I just don't see him as Marcus Phoenix. You know who I do see as Marcus Phoenix, though? It was an epiphany. Because to me, I don't want like The Rock. When I saw a few people say The Rock, I wanted to just, where was the nearest cliff I could take a marathon to? You know what I mean? Like, I know. Here we go. Any actor could get beefy, right? The problem with a lot of these beefcake actors, I'm allowed to say that, is I don't know why I just gave myself permission. Is their range. Let's be honest, guys. Let's be real with it. The Rock plays The Rock in every movie.
Yeah, The Rock plays Dwayne Johnson in every movie.
Yeah. So let's relax. You could get, though, an actor to get swole, as the kids say, and put on a gosh darn great performance. The one person that I do see doing this, and I can see Marcus perfectly in, is Josh Brolin. Why is he not being considered?
Yeah, I've seen that on a couple lists.
Gruffness. Yeah, he has the gruffness. He has the toughness. Seeing him as Cable really does. I think when I pictured him as Cable, I'm like, he could definitely put on a COG uniform and be Marcus Phoenix. Yeah, makes total sense. I think Josh Brolin as Marcus is standard.
I love that idea. I'm behind you because
very good.
No shade to Dave Bautista, none at all. I love the dude, super nice, super cool. I've watched a lot of his movies, but I also played through the campaign with him as Marcus Phoenix in Gears 5. And I know voice acting is not the same as acting in a lot of ways, different skill set. He didn't sell me, guys. I was not sold on Dave Bautista as Marcus Phoenix in that campaign at all. Especially compared to the amazing performance by the OG John.
That's right.
So that's why I'm torn. After like I was on board because I could see it. He looks similar. He's got the tough exterior. I could see it. But after playing Gears 5 with him as Marcus, that actually convinced me that he should not do it. Like that was the point. I was like, no, I don't see him as this character. I can't see him as this character. So I'm with you. I want to hear some of the ideas that aren't Dave Bautista because that's the obvious one. There's a lot of fan casting for it. Shout out to the people who do. I think Dave Bautista could definitely do it. I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying that's not my number 1 pick.
Yeah. What say you about Dom though?
What say you about Dom? I want to hear your 4, okay. And I'll give you mine.
Okay, so real talk. I lost a little bit of train of thought because I was trying to find out who would be my Cole. But Dom, I'm going to give a shout out to Special Nick. Okay, I know we probably already shouted it out too much, but
once is more than enough. But okay,
I know he owes me $5 now. But he goes Dom equals, hear me out, Wilmer Valderrama, and I was like, you know what?
From that 70s show? Wait,
that 70s show. Let's be real. I think he could pull it off. I think he's a better actor than a lot of people give him credit for. So I think for me, I don't want just like hey, he's a Latino guy we all remember. I think he could be Dom. Let's go with someone that is, not to say relatively unknown, because Wilmer is not that, but let's go a little bit out of the box and let's get a little brave with our picks. And when I saw Wilmer, I'm like, actually, yeah, I think he has like the face structure to really pull off Dom. And I think he could do it. I think it's a role that for him, he could break out of that 70s show, shell and do something drastically different. Like we saw Chris Pratt do, right? We should talk about him probably in a sec, which like, he was just like this lovable dork on Parks and Rec. And now look at him. So I would say
now he's Mario. All right. Anything's possible.
I don't know, guys. I don't know. No, I'm gonna love it. I was watching Black Panther the last night, and that trailer came out. I'm like, dude, I am so in. I am so in on this.
Yeah, I'm there day one.
Let's
Like
go.
I'm
Yeah.
watching it. I'm not going to
Yeah.
pretend like I'm not going to watch the Super
Mm-mm.
Mario Brothers movie. That cast,
Yeah.
generally speaking, is stacked, regardless of how you feel about Chris Pratt. I'm there. Let's go.
Yeah. Let's go. All
All
right.
right, who you got for Cole? Who you
All
got
right.
for the Cole train, baby?
Whole train runs on whole grain, baby. Woo! And who would I like to see this? All right, everybody's throwing out Terry Crews, and I would like you to.
I love Terry Crews.
I,
Love
I
me
would.
some Terry Crews.
I would like to just toss. No, no. I would say, hear me out.
Okay.
And I'm going, and how I'm really building this list is who I think my mother and my best friend would go gaga over. So my best friend would go gaga over Josh Brolin. She is very attracted to him. And I'm like, okay, my mother, she's the most adorable woman on the face of the planet. She has a wallpaper on her computer of Idris Elba. Let's put Idris Elba as Coltrane. Because here's the thing, Terry Crews, same with The Rock. He plays Terry Crews. Idris Elba's got incredible range. Let's give him a shot. I want a different Coltrane in this movie. I don't want the one-to-one goofy, lovable, Coltrane. Give him a little bit more personality, a little bit more depth, and I think Idris can do that. So yeah. What about you?
All right.
What about you?
All right. So I'll preface this. So I actually sat down for a while and was thinking about this because I've seen a lot of the fan castings. And, a lot of the fan castings are based on, like you said, the beefcakes. Like, who's a beefcake that fits this general look? Who's a really buff guy who can plug into the shoes of this character? And that's, again, I talked about that previously. On the exterior, a lot of people look at Gears and say, oh, it's the game with the buff guys. It's like, no. Gears is this game it's about heart. It's about the heart of these characters. On the exterior, they're rough. They're military men. They're rough. But every single one of them has this combination of a gruff, tough exterior and then a soft heart and the sense of perseverance in spite of everything. And so as I was going through and casting these characters for my fan casting, it was based on that. Who's got the gruff exterior? Who can play the tortured soul well? Who can come off tough, but when it really matters, they have the heart and the passion, and that'll come across on screen. Yeah. And so mine, like yours, it's a little off the wall. It's not the standard pick. So my mark is Phoenix.
I do have another one for Coltrane, by the way, but go for it.
My mark is Phoenix. I want to see David Harbour. Stranger Things.
Oh, okay.
He's got that rough exterior. He's got that heart. And that's the foundation of Marcus. I think he could play the tortured soul of Marcus incredibly well. Again, we've seen him get buff for the new season of Stranger Things. And like you said, anybody can get buff if they need to get buff. But I think really what it's about is the delivery, the execution of it. And David Harbour, I think, much like Josh Brolin, similar kind of tone and cadence, like they can nail that. They can really nail that in a way that I don't think a Dave Bautista could, for example.
Sure.
My Dom also one that I haven't seen anyone talk about. And this person, I'm not incredibly familiar with a lot of their stuff, but I do know them from Criminal Minds, and that's Adam Rodriguez. So Adam Rodriguez from Criminal Minds, he's in the show, again, that duality of he's like a tough, badass cop, but when it comes time to make the tough decisions, he's the guy you want in your corner, which that's Dom. Dom is the go-to. He's for Marcus. He's the guy you always want on your side. And so that's my pick there. For the Coltrane, Jonathan Majors, baby. Again, another actor who can bring the intensity.
Yes.
Bring the intensity, but also have that kind of soft heart. And I think, again, all of these characters are built around that foundation. And then Baird.
Can I get real for just a second, though? Yeah. Jonathan Majors, are we going to be able to afford him? Is this with a limited budget?
He's blowing up right now. He's definitely blowing
up right now. And every pick of him, like, guys, I'm questioning things. He's very attractive. So I think
that man,
terrific.
Speaking of actor. Getting jacked, holy God,
his biceps
he got jacked.
Have biceps, man.
What
who I'd like to see though is also like Coltrane? because he's lovable, and again, anybody could get ripped. Sam Richardson is a fantastic comedic actor. He could pull it off. He was in oh my goodness. Let me get in a movie that he was in. It was so good. It was the Ubisoft one, Werewolves Within. There you go.
Oh, okay.
He was in the Tomorrow War. He was in a bit of Ted Lasso as well. He's a terrific supporting character. I would love to see him break out. It's similar to me, like that of Chris Pratt. Again, he's a lovable, doughy dude that I could definitely see him getting ripped and playing this character.
Just nailing it. Yes. And then I've seen this person cast in a lot of like Marcus roles or Dom roles. John Bernthal for Baird. John Bernthal, as much as he's really good at playing the tough ass, just tough as nails asshole. Like that's his face. He's like such a sweet guy outside of that. When you listen to interviews and watch him talk, he's such a sweet guy. And he's also a funny as hell guy. So when he gets the opportunity to do comedic roles, I think John Bernthal as Baird could be perfect because it's got that duality of the tough, how you know John Bernthal, but also the smartass. And I think he plays that so well. So
I like that. That's the only one where I see like everybody's a pick of like John Cena being. I could see him as Baird easily, but is that too much like his other role? Oh my god, why am I blanking on it? It's amazing. HBO Max. Oh my god, why am I blanking on his name? Peacemaker. There you go.
Oh no, not John Cena. I don't.
No, I
you want
I
John
see him
Cena.
in it. I see him as Baird. Absolutely.
I could see it. Yeah, that's one of the fan casts. I think the cliche fan cast we've seen a million times is Dave Bautista, Terry Crews, The Rock, and John Cena. Which I'm sorry, not to poop on anyone, but that would be the corniest Gears of War movie of all time, and we all know it. You might as well have Jack Black, Kevin Hart, Chris Rock, and Ryan Reynolds as the cast for the Gears of War movie.
Yeah. And listen, at the end of the day, I would love to know how people's actual jobs are, like to cast actors, how that actually is. Because they can't just look at a piece of paper going, yeah, I liked him in that movie. I think he'll be good here.
Maybe that's part of it. I bet that for some directors, they're like, I like this person. I'm gonna see if they'll do it.
Yeah. But it has to be more.
Who knows? I'm really curious to see what the actual cast ends up being. I think obviously that's going to be a big reveal when they reveal Delta Squad. Like, this is the cast, and they're going to have the images, and people are like, oh my god, this is the worst casting I've ever seen.
Yeah.
What happens?
I like what Nine Lives just put in the chat though. Yeah. Danny DeVito as young JD Felix.
Yes. More work for Danny.
Yes.
God,
also, wait, we forgot who voices Carmine.
Exactly. Who voices Carmine?
I got an easy answer.
What you got?
The voice of Carmine. We never see his face. Get him in there. It's going to be a great Easter egg for players.
Yeah.
We don't have to go crazy. He's going to have 3 lines, and then his head's going to get shot off. It's going to be fine.
And then I think we can all agree for the animated series, just keep the original cast.
Yes.
Just get all the OG cast.
Yes. Please.
Super chat from Arky Johnny here, who says, they're going to show those Phoenix cheeks. What's the over and under on a fat pair of Marcus Phoenix cheeks in this movie?
No, thanks. Please, for the love of God. God, you know what? Like, listen, take what we get out of Netflix. Thank God this wasn't on was it Peacock or whatever? Paramount Plus. Could have been worse. A lot worse.
Okay. As we touched on earlier, we got to talk about the ongoing Activision Blizzard King ABK acquisition from Microsoft. There have been a lot of developments.
We don't have to.
We do. We have to. I said, I'm legally obligated. I don't have the option. Okay? I have to. Or they take money from me.
That's fair.
The European Commission comes and they take money from me if I don't talk about this. So I have to. Okay? So there were some pretty major developments this week. We had the CMA and the UK recently say that they're launching their Phase 2 investigation of the pending $69 billion acquisition of ABK by Microsoft. The European Commission has announced that it would also be launching a larger investigation into the deal. So this in-depth investigation aims to evaluate the potential harm to customers and competition in the games industry, and the European Commission has until March 23rd, 2023 to make a decision on the deal. So this is the second big regulatory body that stepped in and say, all right, we need more information here.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about the likelihood of this deal going through, given the recent developments surrounding it?
If I could just make this go through yesterday, I would. I am, this conversation, I think, is the most tiring conversation in gaming at this point. Um, it's going through. Like 100%, I think this is going through. What I am interested on is what's going on behind the scenes at all these regulatory bodies. That's the thing that I'm interested in is how they're coming to these decisions and what is the true motivating factor. I don't think the true motivating factor is Jim Ryan has bribed every like commission out there to question Microsoft. It is far more deep and layered than just that being simply the case. So I think this is happening. And what I've said from the get-go, and I want to know your thoughts on this, is this deal's happening, but there's gonna be concessions. I think Hoglaw made a great observation of like, remember, these regulatory bodies shot down the Fox Disney deal at first, and
Yeah.
Disney then had to make a concession, multiple concessions, in order to make that thing a reality. So to me, there's concessions to be made here, and it goes, I think, beyond just Call of Duty. But it's gonna happen. It's absolutely going to happen. I don't know. What say you?
Yeah, so this, to me, it's not surprising. I know there's been a lot of drama online regarding, oh my God, I can't believe the CMA is doing this, or I can't believe the European Commission is doing this. But Microsoft from the jump has told you, we expect this to close in 2023. I don't think
Yep.
they expected a world where this just floats on through without any sort of scrutiny. I think they knew. Maybe the scrutiny is more complicated than they thought, because it maybe,
Yes.
I think that they figured there'd be scrutiny, but maybe they didn't have to work in concessions. But now I'm thinking there's a 60-40% chance it goes through as is, but I think it will go through either way with some concessions in place. So I'm with you. I think what this is about for, your PlayStations, and what this is about for your regulatory bodies is, what this could potentially mean. I don't think there's any legal precedent that says that this deal shouldn't go through because it will destroy competition in the space. But I think a lot of these bodies aren't really aware of how the games industry works, and they're getting up to speed. They're trying to understand subscription models, and they're trying to understand, cloud gaming and all of these things that they haven't had to talk about or discuss ever. So there is a
Yeah.
huge learning curve, and that's probably why they're like, all right, well, we need to sit down and figure out what this means. And so that's why it's not
Yes.
just coasting through. We did have, God, the one member of the European Commission who's getting absolutely lambasted, blitzed on Twitter. I'm sure you've seen it, where he talks
Sure.
about like, don't worry, guys, we're going to look into this and make sure I can still play Call of Duty on my PlayStation. And so you had this dude coming out and basically, who's part of the European Commission, saying that he's trying to make sure that he can play Call of Duty on his PlayStation. And
And
that's
I truly think that was them trying to connect with
the gamers.
gamers alike. It's like it's kind of like when every politician's just like, listen, y'all, I know how painful it is when you fill up your Ford F-150 because I've been there. It's like
Exactly.
you don't have to worry about anything. All right. So like to me, that's what I think the attempt was, but it's not a good look. And listen, it's very easy to throw that man shade, but he's not reading those tweets and you're wasting your breath. To me, again, it's far more complicated. Is that a bad tweet? Absolutely. It does not look great. But is this, is this solely from the act of PlayStation? Like it's, to me, it's not, this isn't even the worst thing. Like Apple now has to ditch the lightning cable because the EU demanded them, the makers of this iPhone, hey, no more lightning cables. It has to be USB-C.
Hmm.
Their own design of their own phone, they have to alter because Google and other tech giants complained about it enough. So now, Apple has to seed a component, physical component on their own device. And that's also going to hurt them monetarily. But nonetheless, is it beneficial for me, a person that has 80 million USB-C cords laying around here? Absolutely. So, we like to get in feels a lot about this issue. Understand, like, these people are not gamers, nor does it really matter to them. Also, nor are the lawyers that are fighting for either side. It's about regulatory practices, and that's what these folks have experience in. So they are looking at markets and going, how is this deal going to affect the markets? And you have a $1 trillion company, let's get real, a $1 trillion company going, no, it's not going to affect anybody. Don't just look away at everything that's about to happen. Don't worry. We're so small, like grand scheme of things, guys. We're like, ignore the $1 trillion. We're like so small, like this space though. So like, just ignore it. And then you have this $1 billion company going, guys, our livelihood is on the line if we lose one game, and we don't know how we're going to fiscally recover as a $1 billion company if this goes south for us. It's like you have these two mega corporations asking you to just take their side. Please don't look into it. And you have government bodies going, no, we're going to look into it because big tech is a problem. Or at least that's how they view it as, whether it's Apple, Google, or Microsoft. This is a problem for them. You have the possibility of corporations undermining governments. So governments are going to absolutely look at big tech in under more scrutiny than ever. And so, yeah, I do think, to go on your point, Microsoft saw this coming. 100% they saw this coming. Am I surprised at the level of scrutiny? To a certain extent, yes. But I think Microsoft always knew that they were going to give concessions. I just don't think they thought perhaps how deep maybe those concessions lie, if that makes
Yeah,
any
I think
sense.
it's really going to come down to what the concessions are because yeah, this is a huge deal. This is as much as I'm so tired of hearing this word, it's an unprecedented deal. We
Oh
haven't
boy.
seen anything like that in the space, and that's why there's this learning curve. And there's a lot of people. And again, I use the word ignorance, and I don't mean ignorance as an insult because fundamentally, ignorance just means you don't really know any better. You don't have the information you need to make a decision, and so that's what some of this is these bodies getting up to speed, understanding what it means, and it's I think the responsible thing for a lot of them to be up to speed and instead of just saying, okay, yeah, we'll just let a $69 billion deal go through. Whatever.
Yeah.
Seems cool. Seems these guys are saying it's cool. It's fine. And Microsoft is going to be prepared for the questions. And there's going to be a lot of questions. And I've said this
Yes.
before, but as long as Microsoft comes to the table, has good answers, because I don't think there's anything fundamentally wrong with them making this acquisition.
Absolutely. I exactly the same.
We know Blizzard, Activision Blizzard King, as we've touched on before, their culture's not great. They've had a lot of problems. They've just been nothing but controversy. To say that they are fine as is just that's ignorant. Like if you're gonna say like, oh well, if Microsoft doesn't buy them, then everything will be just fine. Like that doesn't seem like that's the case. And a lot of this boils down to when we look at the conversations online, obviously what it means for the players. Like when we talk about this deal as an Xbox show, or when we talk about this deal as people who play on Xbox or PlayStation, we talk about it based on how it will impact us, because that's more important. And
Yeah.
so I want to know for you, you obviously play on Xbox, so it's probably not
Yeah.
a huge deal for you, but if this deal goes through, does that mean anything for you fundamentally? Does it impact your experience as a player?
Here again, I'm a PlayStation host of a PlayStation show, And I could absolutely almost care less. Like, yeah, sure, are gamers that have no idea that this deal is going to be affected? Absolutely. But like to see, like, I saw one of the comments of like, I want Sony to get nothing. I want to watch ponies cry after years of bad deals and so on. That's their job. That's their imperative. That as a company, they did to secure that space. And that's a question that you should have been asking Microsoft of why didn't they do the same? So for Xbox, this is them answering, going, no, this is what we're going to do. And we're going to answer with an even bigger thing than just locking down a Final Fantasy. We're going to lock down a Call of Duty.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. After years of like seeing, let's be real, Xbox guys, all these Forza Halo. Maybe you see a Fable, and as much as I love Fable, after Fable 3, it all kind of went downhill from here. Like seeing Microsoft reinvest in gaming in such a large way, purchasing publishers like Bethesda, developers, like Obsidian, that's so exciting for you because Microsoft is now answering back in the way you've always wanted. Always wanted. Now you're going to see them grow into this hopeful monolith of gaming. That being said, should we be critical of, let's just say, guys, would we be less critical if this was, the shoe was on the other foot and this was PlayStation doing it and not Microsoft? Probably. So, I don't like the idea of publishers being bought out wholesale. And I would hope that stops after this deal. Not really genuinely optimistic. Whether it was Sony, I would be feeling the same exact thing here. But Microsoft knows they need content. Content is king, and they don't really care at the end of the day where you're going to be playing it. They just want you to be subscribed to Xbox Game Pass. So for me, I'm seeing Microsoft answer the wants and needs of its fans. So this deal to me is them answering that. And as a PlayStation gamer, to make a very long story short, as a PlayStation gamer, yeah, I now have to possibly look somewhere else to get that thing I want, or Sony has to work to get that thing that I want on our platform in terms of creating IP that's going to keep me engaged on that ecosystem. So it's a little bit of A and B. Am I going to probably one day play Call of Duty on Xbox Game Pass? Yes. Instead of a PlayStation? Absolutely. But does PlayStation now have to do something about it? 110%. And that's exciting. So generally, I want to see this thing go through just so I don't have to look at Bobby Kodak's face again, though he'll get that golden parachute. To me, it's about the games that are being made, the developers being respected, and us having a fun time, regardless of platform.
Yeah, and that's really
that's my TED Talk.
Again, like when I ask this question, it's about how it impacts us and what we want. And obviously, if you primarily play on Xbox, you want this deal to go through because you get those games on Game Pass. You don't have to buy those games, and that is cool. That is exciting. It also opens up possibilities for more players to play those games because there are a lot of people who don't want to pay $70 regardless, and they don't want to buy a console. And now they'll have an easier means of playing stuff like Call of Duty because they can be, I can play it on my PC, I can play it on my phone, wherever I want to play it. I can just be in this ecosystem and play it that way. So there's a lot of net positives for a lot of people with this deal. And again, as you touch on, this is going to make these players have to step up in ways. And this is, Microsoft stepping up in a way and saying, all right, well, we want to ensure that we will have stable content every single year. Here's one way to do it. And that's going to mean that people who are on the Xbox ecosystem get a better value. They get more consistent content, and that's something that we know people on the Xbox camp have been complaining about because they have not been that consistent, whether you like the platform or not. I prefer Xbox. I mostly play on Xbox. I can still say that Xbox on the first party side has not been killing it. They have not been putting out consistent content. Look at we're coming off of 2022, one of their worst years ever for first party content. And again, I haven't been that down on Xbox this year because there's been plenty of stuff for me to play, so it hasn't really been a huge deal. But Xbox also understands that they're trying to grow their platform. They're trying to build their ecosystem up. And to do that, they need reasons. And in the gaming space, those reasons are games. That's more important than anything else. We always, it's the meme, we joke about it, the value proposition, the platform, blah, blah. That's exciting. But ultimately, more important than anything else are the games. Phil Spencer knows that. Every single person who works at Xbox knows that. And that is why they are shelling out so much money and so many resources to make sure that they have games.
Yes. And I think the one thing that I think Xbox desperately wants is not like a big game a month. I no. I think what they want is a big game a quarter. Something that people are talking about. You end one cycle to begin a new hype cycle. For PR, that would just look fantastic. So, like, look, 2023, you're gonna probably have I gotta get y'all people angry for a sec, but you're gonna love me in a minute.
Oh,
I
no,
promise.
don't do it. Don't.
You're gonna have Starfield, which looks very generic and boring, but people are
Don't.
telling me to be excited about it. Then you have Redfall that actually looks fantastic, amazing, and I can't wait to play it. See, I got you guys back in. And then you
There
have games like Hellblade 2 that look phenomenal. Hellblade has been one of the best. Can we even call it indie games out there? And to see them having the money and the backing to make this thing even bigger and better, excited. And those are just 3 games off the top of my head that we have a good feeling about are going to be there in 2023. And that's just outside of the outside of the Activision deal. Right. So there are 3 huge games to get excited about. And then Xbox could trickle in some cool AA, some cool indie games in those months in between. And I think that's the cadence that Microsoft wants. So 2023 is going to be a monstrous year for them. They're going to, I think it's going to make up for this dry year that it's going to, that it's had. To me, I think that is then the true test of Game Pass, of seeing that subscription growth is going to be really telling. Because at that point, there are games up the wazoo. Oh, I even forgot Forza as well. Looks, oh my god, oh, Gran Turismo, you look rough after I saw that trailer. They have now the games in the subscription service. There's no more, quote unquote excuses, as it were. So yeah, I think that's going to be the real litmus test is 2023. They're going to have the games. Those games are going to be in Game of the Year conversations, no doubt, especially Redfall, especially Hellblade 2.
That is a beautiful segue into our next topic here, which is Xbox in 2023, because we touched on this briefly, but
I'm so sorry.
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
Okay, good.
Good. Xbox hasn't had a stellar 2022. Nobody's going to defend that. Nobody can defend their output in 2022. It's just, it wasn't there. They did the best with what they could. It's not something I dwell on too much because there's nothing at this point they could have done to get those games out. It is what it is. But now they are positioning 2023 to be the statement year for their new cadence of content. And so you touched on some of the titles that we know are coming: Redfall, Forza Motorsport, Starfield. I have some hypothetical questions for you and the community here, because as Xbox looks to be more consistent, they have heard the feedback loud and clear about their inconsistency. They know that is a problem, and they have a ton of studios. We see a lot of people say, well, Xbox has no games. Where are the games? They have a huge stable of studios working on games, and now it's going to be a matter of how do we space those games out so that our release calendar remains consistent. And so what I am starting to think is going to happen in 2023 is it's going to be the one big game per quarter. That their mission statement there, with one cool game in Game Pass per month, one standout partnership, one standout indie exclusive, one noteworthy game every single month, and 4 massive, monumental games per year. So here's what I envision for their kind of roadmap here for first-party output in 2023. Ghostwire Tokyo, Q1, Forza Motorsport, Q1, Q1, Age of Empires 2, Q2, Minecraft Legends. I think Redfall is probably Q2, maybe yeah, sure. I think maybe Q1, Starfield Q2 or Q3, and Hellblade will be their big holiday release. If they release those: Ghostwire Tokyo, Forza Motorsport, Minecraft Legends, Age of Empires 2 and 4, Redfall, Starfield, Hellblade 2. I posted this question last week online, but is that enough? If that was their cadence for first-party output in a calendar year 2023, is that enough for players and fans?
Absolutely. My question is, are these games going to hit? That's are they going to get people truly excited? I think I think Starfield, as much as I don't see the appeal, sorry, and Redfall looks great. Uh, you know, though Arcane, I feel like doesn't get the love it often deserves. I feel like Redfall is gonna be something special. So to me, I think the cadence is right. These games also have to be, you know, they have to be of critical acclaim, and that's why I think you're seeing Microsoft take the smart moves in delaying some of these. Like Starfield, Rip, you were supposed to come out, what is it, yesterday as of recording,
Pour one
and
out.
now just pour one out. Now we just know it's a safe 2023. They know, Bethesda knows their reputation when it comes to bugs and glitches. They want to make sure that this thing is polished out the gate so that reviewers could go, wow, this is unlike anything Bethesda has put out in terms of quality or bugs. This is pretty damn good. Same with Redfall. So I think the list here is great to get people excited. The only thing that really Microsoft has to do is pour the advertising bucks into them. And I think Starfield kind of does your advertising for you
Yeah.
because it's such a prestigious studio. Whereas Redfall, you're going to have to kind of work for that a little bit more. And Hellblade 2, the industry knows its relevance. Does the mass market know? I don't think so, but I think they're going to learn. I think once people see this game, the masses see this game. I think they're gonna flock to it in a big way. I want Hellblade 2 to be Microsoft's Ragnarok.
So I think Microsoft is going to be very strategic and smart with its roadmap for 2023. And I know I see people, when I say that list of games, even all of those games, I see people say, well, that's not really enough considering your Redfall and Starfield were delayed out of this year. What were they going to have originally for this year? That question doesn't matter as much anymore, because it's not really about that anymore. It's about making sure that moving forward, that there are consistent games for people to play, consistent, big, noteworthy games. They told us a couple years ago that they wanted one big game per quarter, and then they follow up having a year without a big game per quarter. Grounded, love it, absolutely adore Grounded. But that was early access, and it hit 1.0. Wasn't quite the big AAA release that they promised players. So that being said, I think, or I should say hypothetically, if that is their roadmap there, those games that I mentioned previously, I think that is going to position 2024 and beyond to be far more consistent. And you'll be able to have a big game every single quarter. I think there's a potential for Avowed and Fable potentially to launch in 2024. So? I think
if 2020, okay, I was gonna say
if this is the current roadmap here, you position yourself where you can drop an Avowed earlier in the year, and then you can have your Fable as the big holiday game as well. And then once we get to that level where you're having something like on a caliber of Fable or Perfect Dark or Avowed in a single calendar year, that's gonna get them more in line with PlayStation in terms of their kind of output. And obviously they understand that they need those big high profile games to be consistent. So I am expecting 2023, I guess, I don't personally feel it this way, to be light maybe for some people in terms of first party stuff, but I think if you give fans a Redfall and it's great, you give fans a Starfield and it's great. Forza Motorsport, we know that's going to be great, but it's going to be, I would say, niche. Again, niche when it comes to
the thing about racing games,
the gamer sphere, the hardcore gamer.
Yeah,
racing.
I feel like racing. Yeah, racing is huge. I think a lot of these, like, we'll take a look at like Gran Turismo. I know almost nothing about it, but I also know it is one of, if not the biggest Gran Turismo launch, and that series is the top selling series or franchise in PlayStation's roster. I have nothing about Gran Turismo. Same with like Forza. All I know about Forza is that it is the king of racers. There's unlike anything. There's nothing close. There's nothing parallel to it. It's just stellar, and the car nuts go crazy for these games. So I think they're. You're right. I think they're quiet. They're kind of quiet blockbusters. We don't
Yes.
hear much about them. It's kind of like Minecraft, or even, you know what, better, Grand Theft Auto 5. It's always the top selling game that month. How?
Nobody on
But we
Twitter's
don't
talking
talk
about
about
Grand
it
Theft Auto
barely.
5. Yeah.
Exactly. Twitter's not reality. I think Elon showed us that. So yeah, I know. I think you're right. All these games have to do are be critical hits. They have to mean something and matter. And I think you're right. I think like Grounded, great game from what I hear, great game, but didn't hit that AAA blockbuster level that I don't even think Xbox was really expecting it to do.
No,
And I
it
think
was
that's
a
what they
small
need.
team.
Exactly. I think that's what they need. I take a look at a Starfield, I take a look at a Hellblade, I take a look at Redfall, and I'm like, yeah, these games could, if they hit right, be in a game award level type of game. And I think that's what Microsoft needs more of. I think Microsoft wants to be taken seriously like their competitor in terms of like PlayStation. I mean, they've outwardly said it internally, right? When they said like we need a game, we don't have a game like Last of Us Part 2. We want a game like Last of Us Part 2. I take a look at Hellblade 2 going, that's their game. That's it. That's the thing that's gonna put them to have that critical level that I think Microsoft desperately wants. I see it here. I think this is a really stellar list for Xbox in 2023. It's a lot of games I'm gonna be playing, like real talk, Age of Empires 2 and 4
Yeah,
on
baby.
console.
Let's go. Oh, Age of
Dude,
Empires 2, one of my favorite RTS games.
Age of Mythology, my jam as a kid. Remaster? Let's go, bro. Like this looks stellar.
So,
I,
so
yeah,
yeah, I think this list is strong. And we know 2023 across the board, when we're looking outside of the Xbox bubble, is going to be stacked. That year shaping up to be an absolutely gargantuan year for gaming across the board. So if you're Xbox as well, do you really need to pack it? Do you really need to have something stand toe to toe with Tears of the Kingdom? Like, do you
right.
really need to be in that space? So I think there's an excellent comment from Jarrett Bishop here. It says, I want to see Xbox stick to the 1 year ad style. Stop giving release dates for games that can't or won't hit, and let games finish before launching them. No more Halo
Yes.
Infinites, please. Imagine, yeah, behind the scenes, if these teams are being allowed a ton of extra time, because Matt Booty sits down and says, all right, guys, 2023 is planned. 2023 is stacked. That means, hey, Rare, you have more time with Everwild. That means
Yeah.
In Exile, you have more time on your project. Compulsion, you have more time for your project. Make sure that hits. And we'll sit down towards the end of next year and start planning what that might look like. I think that is the best case scenario for Xbox Game Studios. The overall health, the overall cadence of their releases is, obviously it's expensive to develop games. Obviously things are
Yeah.
more questionable than they have been in a long time, with the economy being what it is. But that being said, if you can support these teams and empower these teams to work around each other in a way that makes all of these games the best that they can possibly be, I think Xbox fans are going to be stoked. So even if you
Yeah.
think this list is light, in air quotes, for 2023, I think if they stick with this strategy, they will deliver games that people are excited about and have a gargantuan 2024. Just an
Yeah.
absolutely stupid 2024.
And I think that's Microsoft's like end game with their acquisitions. And I think that's why they're going after publishers and not so much developers, is because they need, again, content. Content is king. They need fallbacks in case, game A needs a delay. Game B is here to supplement that loss. I think that's what Microsoft really looks at as their calendar grows, is to make sure that, yeah, if, for example, if a Starfield falls through, well, there's a Redfall to back it up. I think that's what their goal is, because no doubt some of these games may shift around here, and there's probably games we don't know in the backdrop. But to me, it's really awesome to see that there is no Gears or Halo here. And yeah, they're gonna get updates for sure, but like, you have Starfield headlining, you have Hellblade headlining. I think what I'd love to see out of Microsoft is more mascots, or not even mascots, but icons in that pantheon, where, yeah, you see Senua side by side with the Chief, you see, her side by side with JD, you see her with the Doom guy. And I think Microsoft really is at that precipice where they now have that legacy and they have that catalog of studios to, again, after this Activision Blizzard thing closes, to get them over certain humps if games don't hit or don't release where they should. And I think that's where Microsoft wants to be at the end of the day. And it's a huge risk. But if there's anybody that can take that risk, it is Microsoft. So
Yeah, they
yeah,
have thankfully
it's
the
fantastic.
backing of a lot of other business divisions to stay, because that's the problem with a lot of publishers in the gaming space when they get themselves into financial trouble is they don't have another revenue stream that's coming. Like
Yep.
Microsoft has Office. So they just have this constant stream of money coming in from things like Microsoft Office and Azure. They're a lot of companies are giving them money for cloud infrastructure. So they have a lot of revenue streams that make it so they can take creative risks and not
Yep.
be doomed, financially doomed, that is why I get excited about Xbox Game Studios, because I want, obviously I want all of these teams to have whatever resources, whatever means they possibly need to make the best games possible.
Yeah.
And as much as big money can be nefarious in the space, you can also use that to create things that are exciting. And that's why I hope that those conversations are happening behind the scenes to enable these teams to really deliver on what they're selling us on Xbox Game Studios. Because the,
Yeah.
the the selling point, why we're supposed to be excited about Xbox, why we're supposed to be excited about these acquisitions, is that means that these teams have the resources and the tools to make the best games that they've ever made. And that's something that
And
I'm constantly going to hold Microsoft to.
yeah, and I think what you said there is important because you see big tech enter in or peer in, and like you take a look at like things like Google Stadia, and and it didn't have the support or the resources to go out there. They had great tech, the tech was cool, but they didn't have the reason to be on Stadia. It was more than I could play this on a Chromebook. They needed mascots, they needed icons, they needed content, and you can't just rely on third party content to bring you over the edge. And so to see Microsoft go, hey, listen, we can be a force in this industry much more than we are right now, and we're going to, for lack of better words, take the initiative, wink wink, nudge nudge, to wordplay, to make those things, you know to make those things a reality. That's the important thing. And I think we often get lost in that. We get lost in the sauce a little bit, because right now all three major parties are making more money than they ever had. I like what Jeff Grubb said about PlayStation. It's like usually a few weeks back, he's like, usually they start off and it's slow for them in terms of money, in terms of revenue. This start from PS4 to PS5 has been, you know, practically seamless. And same with Microsoft. The transition between one to S and X has been practically seamless. And you're seeing more people experiment in different ecosystems than ever before. That's really exciting to see. And again, to see Microsoft's game plan going, which I see it as like, we're gonna kind of be like the Embracer, but more high quality AAA titles. That has me really excited for the future of 2023 and beyond. I just do think, just like with what Grubb thinks, is 2023 is probably going to be that litmus test of Game Pass growth, and
Yeah.
and that's when we'll truly see it. Because at the end of the day, all these games are gonna be great and all, but at the end of the year, they're going to have Call of Duty in Game Pass, and that's going to be a huge influencer in terms of Game Pass and revenue. So, yeah, I'm very optimistic of where Xbox is going to be this time next year.
Yeah, it's really exciting when we look at what that means for them and what that means for their growth, because yeah, the reality is making games is expensive. Making AAA games in particular is taking longer than ever. And that's why I think Microsoft isn't going to exclusively put out quote unquote AAA games either. So
Yeah.
I think they're going to make sure that they have teams putting out consistent AAA games, but then they're going to have Groundeds. Where Groundeds come out, they
Or
find an
Pentiments.
yeah, they come out, they find an audience, they're critically acclaimed, people still love them, but it doesn't have to be a massive $500 million game that takes 7 years to make.
Yeah.
You can mix it up, and I think that's healthy. And I think to be able to ensure consistent stuff, it's going to be a combination of that with their big third-party games, and then their partnerships with Bethesda and Activision Blizzard potentially, if that goes through, because then you're pretty much guaranteed that your every single year is going to be set with at least 4 big AAA games.
Yeah, and experimentation is really important. I think, you know, what Microsoft's idea is like, hey, you have your Obsidian, and Obsidian's, you know, are going to give you the Outer Worlds, right? But they're also going to make really interesting smaller things like Pentiment. You know, you're going to have someone like Ninja Theory make a stellar Hellblade, but then they're going to seemingly give you this smaller survival horror, you know, thing
Project
with
Mara.
Project Mara,
Yeah.
right? So I like that aspect too, of just like, hey, these teams don't just have to make $100 million blockbuster things; they could go out there and experiment. I think that's what made, you know, in a little different terms, PlayStation so successful in the PlayStation 4 generation, because they gave their studios the tools they need to make the games they wanted to make. And so as long as you empower your devs that way, you're going to have and see that success. And once we get more games as service titles in Game Pass, that's going to allow those pentiments to exist. You're just going to have so many different revenue streams based on Game Pass that it's going to just give them the ability to create smaller teams, to create smaller projects, to keep that content flowing. So
yeah,
you're
like,
right there, my man. It's
Tim
exciting to watch.
Schafers of the world. Like, I don't need him to be forced to make a AAA game. Like, I don't really want him to even be forced to do that. I want him to take the weird ideas that he's been sitting on and hasn't had the resources to execute and say, all right, team, let's do it. We have the funding here. How are we going to bring this game to life? We couldn't do it before, but I want to do it now. That's the stuff that I want to see empowered. And that's the stuff that Microsoft is better positioned than most people to do. And I hope they actually do it, because that stuff is the most exciting thing about the industry, are the weird new ideas that nobody has been able to do because of the financial risks associated. Again, it's not my money. So maybe if I was in the situation where it was directly impacting my hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe I would consider that more. But as a player, as someone who loves video games, loves the game industry, I want to see that stuff exist. And I want to see these big, gargantuan publishers really support that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, Joe, I think that is going to do it for this week's episode of Xbox Chaturdays. We did it. Another one in the books. Love you. Appreciate all the amazing people who tuned in. One more time, for the folks who joined us live and the folks joining us after the fact, where can they get a hold of you, my man?
So you can find me over at Twitter at Mr. Badbit. You can find my show, The Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players, where each and every Thursday, me and my best friend Kyle talk about the latest and greatest in all things PlayStation. And we talk about games just like how we are here at Chaturdays. There's no fanboy dumb stuff. It's just a whole battle of love, appreciation, and critical thought about the games we love and the people that make them. And again, you can check out our latest show over on the Trophy Room on YouTube, as well as whatever platform, podcast platform you prefer. And you can find the show over at PS Trophy Room on Twitter as well, for as long as Twitter is alive. So maybe a few weeks.
Yeah, appreciate you. Obviously, if you guys are listening to the show, tune in, check out the Trophy Room. It is a great show. I've been on there, and again, I think it is very important, regardless of your preference, to find some shows outside of your normal bubble that you can talk to and get some different perspectives on platforms and what they mean for everybody. And that's why I appreciate having you on. That's why I appreciate everyone who tunes in. One more time for the people who maybe missed at the beginning, if you do want to see me ramble about other stuff other than Xbox, I did launch a new YouTube channel, youtube.com/Miles Dompier. Check that out over there. I got a couple videos up. It's a little fresh channel. And next week, I will be joined on this show by Modern Vintage Gamer. So excited about that. Ooh-wee. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. Have an excellent weekend, and we will see you next week. Take care.